You want a way to display your digital photos so they aren't locked behind your phone screen, and a digital picture frame is a great way to do that. Chances are you've heard of Kodak, especially if you remember Kodak film and cameras. Kodak does more than film and cameras now. They also do digital picture frames. Could the Kodak RCF-1012W be the digital picture frame you've been looking for? I'm Wanderer 001. Let's get into it. To start things off, this digital photo frame was sent to me for the purposes of doing a review. However, the company has no say into the content of this review. Now that we have that out of the way, some general specifications. You are looking at a photo frame that is 8.24 inches tall with a width of 11.5 and has a depth of just shy of 1 inch. Now, for a photo frame, you might be wondering why it's so thick. Well, when we get around to the back, you'll know why. On the front here, you do see that there is this colored actual wood frame around it. They do have several different varieties for this, and then they have this little matte section. And then up front here, this, as I shift things so that the color changes, this is your digital touchscreen. And what do I mean by touchscreen? Well, I mean, this is going to be how you navigate your photos, your settings, everything of that nature. It also supports, which is because this is a digital picture frame, it supports pinch to zoom. And we'll just zoom that back out. The display itself is 10 inches with a resolution of 1280 by 800 at 16 by 10 aspect ratio. The orientation of this, you can do landscape or you can do vertical. This has the ability to change. So if I come and find a picture like something like this, I could rotate the picture frame and it would look like it's in the correct orientation. Now, I will admit, it is a little touchy in actually doing that. Just know you're not going to be flipping your photo frame around a lot, so pick one of the two looks that you'd like. The viewing angle on it is 178 degrees, meaning that side's kind of shiny, but you could see as I'm rotating, you could still see the picture. There is a little bit of glare that you will get from direct light, like we have over here, or from sun if you do have this in a sunny room. But that doesn't mean that it's terrible. Now, you might have seen me thumbing through some pictures as I was looking for things. And part of that is each of these pictures that I have in here was taken from different types of cameras, from a digital SLR, which would be something like that, to an old school point and shoot camera like this. The display is very good. And you can even, again, if I pinch to zoom, see the detail. This is an older style point and shoot camera, but the detail is all there and it handles all sorts of pictures. And so far, no matter what I've thrown at it, it has looked really good on this picture frame. The brightness is adjustable through the settings. Now, as we start taking a look at the other parts of this picture frame, if we come up to the top, there's nothing to look at, just like on either side. Realistically, the other thing that we're gonna be looking at is over here on the back of the picture frame. To start things off, you can see that this is legitimately a picture frame. It's got the mounting clips to keep the digital screen in the frame itself. You also have several selections of how you can mount this, either on a wall landscape or on a wall portrait. And then over here, there is a little cutout, and that is for this, which is a stand, and it's a universal stand. So I can put this in here and rotate it this way, and now it will act as a landscape stand, or I can rotate it this way, and now it will work as a portrait stand. So this is a rather unique and nice addition to the frame itself. We also have a physical power button there. And if we look to either side, these are going to be our speakers. Yes, it's a digital picture frame, but it's kind of like a tablet, so it can play audio. You can see they're not really large cutouts for your speakers. So the audio you're gonna get from this is gonna be kind of tinny and not great, but it can do it. So let me show you what that's like.
I am recording. We'll see if it does anything. I am recording. We'll see if it does anything.
As we come down, you can see right there, we have behind the cord, we have a slot for an actual SD card, which you can either use to offload images or keep in the digital picture frame as a means of housing your photos. This picture frame can accept up to a 120 gigabyte SD card, or if we skip the 3.5 millimeter jack here for audio and jump over to our USB-A port where we can have, again, either a flash drive, a small flash drive, up to 128 gigs, or an external hard drive hooked up to this. Again, 128 gigs max, or we can use this as a way of offloading pictures to the digital picture frame itself. To the right of that, we have a mini USB, not micro USB, but mini USB port, mainly for offloading pictures. To the right of that, we have this L-shaped DC power port. I don't particularly care for it because, as you can see, it kind of gets in the way. I wish that was a little better. Now, I was saying that you can offload pictures to the digital picture frame itself, and that is because there is 32 gigabytes of internal storage in this picture frame. It is not a purely cloud-based picture frame as there are others out there like that. You can store stuff locally to the picture frame or on your SD card or on an external hard drive if you so chose. So this is a great option for those that like to keep their photos local, but still get some of those cloud-based or smart picture frame features. As I mentioned, this digital picture frame can access the cloud for photo storage, and that is going to be done over the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. But because this is a smart device, that means there is a setup process. So let me show you what that was like. This will be setup of Kodak digital picture frame. Here we have the Kodak digital frame app already downloaded. We can select add a photo frame. We can either enter the 9-digit code or scan a QR code, either of which we're going to have to get by plugging this in. So starting up, set up. This is a touch screen, so English for me, Eastern Standard for me. Wants me to attach it to a network already. So we're not even attaching the frame to the app yet. I'm going to put in my password on the touch screen, apparently. It is connecting now. It says it's connected. I'm going to hit next. Got a version update already, so we're going to do that. Version updating. We'll let that update and then hopefully be able to attach it to the application. Seems to be having problems installing. To set up via the application now, we hit the settings, and the first thing that we're going to see is a QR code and or a numeric code, which I have successfully scanned. And from here, I can actually start uploading photos. And I'm just uploading a sample group that I have. Can do labels. We're going to go next step and upload and see how that goes. A lot of notifications there. New album, uploads from a user, so I can play all. All right, that was setup. Now that we've seen what setup is like, well, we know we get the digital picture frame. What else do we get in the box with it? Let me show you. Quick start guide, adjustment for photo frame, mini USB to USB-A, and a DC power brick, and the photo frame itself. Now that we have talked about this being a digital device and I've shown you the setup, well, what else is there? First being, there is an application that goes with this, and honestly, it is really just used to upload pictures from your mobile device to the smart frame itself. Let me show you that. This is the application for the Kodak digital picture frame. Depending on what Kodak frame you have, some of the options may be a little different, but 90% of this will be accurate no matter what picture frame you're using. When you first log in, you're going to see a timeline of your uploads, and you're going to see how they were added. So all of these were digital uploads that I did from my phone itself. To upload something, you simply select upload at the bottom, and you're going to select camera, photo, video, music, or cancel. If I select camera, that's going to bring me into the live feed for my camera. If I select photo, that's going to bring up all of the photo albums that you have on your phone, where you have all photos or camera roll or screenshots. So if I select camera, this will allow me to select an image to send to the digital picture frame. Some of these I have already added, so I'm not going to, but I will add this one right here. So you can see it's got a little check mark now. I'm going to select next steps. If you had multiple, you can do select all. Notice here it wants to add two things because I accidentally touched one. If I wanted to add more, I could simply come in here and go click, click, click. We're going to go back to next steps, and I only want this one. We can edit the information. We can add a label. Editing would allow me to delete or crop, and then I could save. So in this case, what I'll do is actually come in here and I will delete this one because we don't actually want to add that, and that just leaves this picture here. We move on to the next step, and from here it will show me my device. If it's online, I could simply select upload, and you'll see the upload process, and you may hear a little chime over on the right because that is where my picture frame is currently located. So that was uploading, and it would be similar for movies and music. Up here, I have my frame. If I had multiple frames, they would be listed here. I can also select here to add a frame. Now, if we come to the upper right-hand corner, this is our settings for the application. There's not a lot of information in here. Really, it just shows you if your frame is online. If you have multiple frames, it would show them, and then it would show your frame data. So anytime you send a picture or a video to the frame from your mobile device or somebody else does it, it uses data. And this was a unique thing for me. I hadn't seen this in a digital picture frame before. So you are given 10 gigabytes of data transfer, and this is not per month, per year. This is for the lifetime. So you will have to top it off if you send a lot of photos from your phone using the application. Your better bet is actually to just put an SD card in the back of the picture frame or manually upload them for your computer, and then you avoid that and save the digital if you share this picture frame with friends or relatives. But that is everything that we can do for our Kodak digital picture frame using the Kodak app. Now that we've seen the bare bones application, what's next? Well, that's going to be the actual crux of this digital picture frame. That's going to be the navigation, changing your photos, uploading your photos. That's all done through the touch-enabled screen. Let's take a look at all the options that we get with this. Yes, I did leave the little sticky thing on here, mainly so I could keep fingerprints off since I'm going to be touching it a lot. I also left over here, this is my new upload because while I was testing this, I uploaded a new picture and there we could see it, but we're going to touch on that a little later. What you were looking at was the albums. That was the first thing that I set this to open to. If you don't do anything, this is going to be the first screen that you're greeted with when you first turn on and set up your digital picture frame. You might be wondering, this picture here will be some initial pictures that are added to the frame itself. You've got your weather, your time, and then your Wi-Fi status right there. And then if I wanted to start a picture slideshow, I can select the picture in the middle, and then it's again letting me know that there's still something new there, and that will start your slideshow. Now from the pictures icon here, I can select it and I can do play all, which will make sense a little later. I can crop, I can rotate, and I can also get picture information. Selecting this will show me when it was added to the device, not any of the actual pictures information. And you have to touch information again to make it go away. And then we've got our more settings. This is also located in another area, but this will allow you to set up BGM. This calendar display is kind of interesting in that when you're in picture mode, it will actually show you a calendar at the bottom here. So if you like seeing a calendar, that would be helpful. The rest of these all are in another location, so I will show you those later. But on this screen also, we have the ability to delete this. And then we've got, this is for audio, but this doesn't have any audio. And then we're going to select back in the upper left-hand corner there. And now it's shifting to a new image right there. These photos that you're seeing right now are under albums. This is where your photos are located. Now there's two places that you're going to notice things. There's user uploads up here. So these are pictures that I sent from my phone to the device itself. And then we have our local. So we have photos. So these are locally stored using up the 32 gigabytes of internal storage. And then we have other, which were the pre-installed photos. We have options over here. So if I come over and select edit, I can select all, I can copy them, I can move them. Notice I would just be moving those to the SD card, or I can delete all of these. We're going to select back. I'm going to come up to my photos up here. So we've got loop check, loop all, random play all, reverse order. So this is kind of how you'd want them displayed, because think of this more as like a slideshow than a digital photo frame. Now, this was all under my local albums. You might have noticed up here in the corner, there is SD card. Now, that's because I have in the back of this an SD card. So this is something that I moved around from this file over here. Now, some of these you saw because yes, I did put these on the photo frame itself. But if I select one, I can play it, I can crop it, I can rotate it, I can download it, which will again put it on this device, and then I can delete it if I wanted to. If you download it, if you don't want to have the SD card in the back of the photo frame, this is how you would kind of move stuff. When I come to my albums, I can select, do I want this to be the album playing? Do I want other, which is this one, to be playing? Or do I want these to be playing? So random play all, now it's going to start playing these. That's how you're going to have to start to get your photos to actually play. Now, when you first load this up, this is where you come to. All of the options to make it play right from the album, that's over here in settings, which we're going to get to. Each of these has another section. So if you had any music uploaded, it would be here. If you have any videos, this is where they'll be located. And I did upload a couple of videos. So right here, If I play that, it has audio in the background and it's playing and doesn't look too bad, all things considered, but we're going to come all the way back. That was our videos. Now we're going to go to calendar. Now, calendar is just another view of the calendar and kind of lets you see, you can see I have photos moving over there. If I don't want that, I could simply select the time and then I don't see photos anymore, but you're getting this because you want photos. But this is if you need like a bigger calendar view and just want to see a smaller picture instead of having the large picture with the calendar at the bottom. Weather, well, this is going to be initially based on your location, or you can input information into here, which is what I did. I did a search and I did Gettysburg. So it's showing me the weather for Gettysburg, which is actually where these pictures were taken. So very on point. Now we come over to our settings. And this is going to be where you initially start things off. You're going to see a QR code and a number that changes constantly to allow you to validate your account. And that's based on these options down here. So that was account. We have our Wi-Fi. This will allow you to pick and set up a Wi-Fi so that you can receive pictures from your phone or from friends. If you don't need this, then you don't have to actually turn this part on, but just wanting you to know where it is. Moving over, we have customize. This is where you're going to spend a lot of time. First being, you're going to change your language. You've got your screensaver. So in my case, I have after 30 minutes of inactivity, what will happen is it will turn itself off. Now, keep in mind, going through a photo album is considered activity, so you don't have to worry about that. You have screensaver type. I picked a Halloween clock, but you've got a lot of choices in there. Display mode, this will be for your photos. I selected full screen, but you could do normal or stretch. And then play interval, how much time passes in between your pictures. You can go as low as 5 seconds or as high as an hour, 24 hours, or manual. I wish that there was a 5 minutes. That's kind of like my sweet spot is 5 minutes. Play animation, like I said, you have to think of this as more of like a slideshow or a PowerPoint. So this is actually going to be how your pictures come into frame. Type of startup autoplay. What does that mean? That first screen that you see when this turns on. You can have it go right to the pictures, which is what I have. You can have it go right to the video, main interface, which is what we were looking at when we first booted this up, or music. I like pictures. You probably got this for pictures. Just know settings, customize, type of startup, and that'll get your pictures going right away. Periodic auto sleep, well, come in here. What this will do is there is no actual ambient light sensor on this. So if you want your photo frame to go to sleep and use less power, you could simply indicate when you want it to sleep. So I have between 9 and 8 a.m. it sleeps, and then between 9 and 8 p.m. it's awake. And if I need to change any of these, I could simply tap it. You see it changes the color. That's all you do, or you can clear it. There's no save button after that. You just move on. Here we've got our screen brightness. You could set it for 100 all the way down to 0, which will still be backlit somewhat. Coming down even further, we have our volume. This will be for videos if you have them on here. And then open receive pictures automatically and add them in your carousel. So that's going to be your visualization, and you could toggle that on and off, and that is the last option there. Coming to the right, we have alarm. Well, you can use this as an alarm clock if you wanted to. I don't use it like that, but you could. Time zone, you can automatically set date and time, or you can do it manually where you can come in here, set date, set time zone, and use 24-hour clock. This is on by default, so you probably want to come in there and turn that off. To the right of that is picture. This is blurred out, but this is an email address that is specifically tied to your picture frame so that people can email, or you can email yourself pictures. Keep in mind, this will also use data. Here we have our storage. You could see right here, we have local storage. I'm using 523 of the 32. I have used 11.77 megabytes of my 10 gigabytes of cloud traffic. Notice it doesn't say cloud storage, cloud traffic. Sending things is going to eat that up. And then I have an SD card in the back of this, and it's only using 125 of the 8 gigabytes. So if you don't necessarily want to overflow the 32 gigs of storage in this, you get yourself an SD card, load that up with pictures, put that in the back, select that as your album, and just go through that. I like that. I don't like the cloud traffic, lifetime cloud traffic that it has before it starts charging you, but that's all under storage. And then we come over to About, which has a lot of sensitive information in it, but that's where you can change the name of your photo frame as well as update your firmware if you need to. So that's where you go. If we want to go back, we simply select the back icon in the upper left-hand corner. And again, I'm going to show you if I come to album and I've got other or photos. If I come in here and I select random play all, now everything in this photo file, which is my SD card, which is showing Gettysburg, will now play and continue to play. And until you tell it not to. So keep in mind, you've got like 2 different storage areas, 3 if you include the internal one, that you can pick and choose how to play. And if you swipe, this will bring you through your pictures. That one's actually a little blurry. That is not a fault of the frame itself, but the user who's taking the picture. But that is all the navigation and settings that we have for the Kodak digital picture frame. And now I could peel the sticker off because I won't get my fingerprints all over it. Now that we've seen the different ways of navigating as well as folder setup and all that fun, happy stuff that this quote unquote digital picture frame can do, what's next? Well, for me, that's testing. And with this being a powered device, and mind you, this power cord is just shy of being 5 feet in length, I like to know how much power something uses when it's plugged in all the time. In the case of this Kodak digital picture frame, during the day, when it's actually on and displaying pictures, it can use anywhere between 3.5 to 3.8 watts of power. That depends on if it's connected to Wi-Fi, the brightness and color saturation of whatever you happen to be looking at, and at night, when the screen is off and it's just hanging out on your Wi-Fi, it can use between 0.8 to 1.2 watts of power. Not terrible, but a little more power, especially at that 1.2 watt range, than I thought a picture frame would use when it's powered down. But part of that is all the other things that this is doing in the background, because it's not just displaying pictures, it's keeping track of your alarms, it's keeping track of the calendar. All that stuff is going on in the background. Now, if you will use this to play videos, you're looking at power usage between 5.3 to 5.9 watts of power. That is a little on the higher side, but most people aren't going to use a digital picture frame to play videos on, so that is all right. Next, what I like to see is how quickly does an electronic come back online when power is lost. In the case of the Kodak digital picture frame, it does take a little bit of time to boot itself up, because really that's what it's doing. There is a mini computer in the back of there, if you think of it that way, and it boots itself up. As you can see here, it is working its way through the setup screens before it gets you back to displaying your picture. Just know though, it does just go back to your pictures once everything is up and running. So if you happen to lose power and you're not around, it's not like the screen itself will let you know that, because once it comes back online, it's just gonna go right back into displaying pictures and you'll be good to go. Never the wiser. Now, with any device, there are some cons to consider, and the Kodak picture frame is no different. In fact, I did find quite a few what I'm going to call limitations or concerns in my testing of this. First and foremost being the limited amount of Wi-Fi data transfer between your smartphone or smart device and this. Some people I've seen, they say it is cloud storage data and you get 10 gigabytes of that. But when I was testing and researching, it is transfer. It is not cloud storage, it's data transfer. In fact, I went back, I uploaded a whole bunch of stuff over Wi-Fi and over my smartphone and then deleted it, and that amount never budged. So the fact that you have a limited lifetime amount of 10 gigs. So if you have your smartphone wants to send stuff, if your friend has a smartphone wants to send, you have 10 gigabytes of that, and that's it, unless you pay for a top off, which I am not a fan of. The other limitation with the smartphone itself is it can't access photo apps. It's a photo folder on your phone or the camera roll on your phone, that's it. If you've got Google Photo or Apple Photo, anything like that, the application will not be able to access that. So it's kind of limiting. If you remove photos from your device to save storage space, but it lives up in the cloud, you're not going to be able to have access to them for this unless you download it to your computer, move the picture frame, plug in something into the back, and then upload your photos to the frame that way. When you first open the picture frame, it is not set up by default to be displaying your pictures. It's set to display the home screen, this. And if you're giving this as a gift or giving this to somebody who's not as technologically savvy, this does not look like they can do anything with it. They're going to wonder, how do I get to see my pictures? So unless you plan on setting this up for them ahead of time, just know this is not what most people want to see when they get a digital picture frame. They want, I plug something in, I see pictures on it, and that's it. In fact, because of that front screen, it really does feel like the photo aspect of this was almost a secondary thought. The interface is really clunky into actually getting to your photos. During my testing, I had an SD card, I had the cloud and local storage, and you can only pick one of the three to play from. You can't aggregate them all and go play these folders. So if you've got an SD card, you got to download that locally, or you have to have a bunch of photos on your SD card and play from that location. It makes the frame and the displaying of pictures feel just very clunky and limited in its usability. And if we come around to the back, since we mentioned the SD card right there, I have little itty bitty fingers, and this is not easy to grab because the SD card, and there you go, there's a example of the gyroscoping when I didn't want it to. There we go. The SD card itself just slides in. There is no spring-loaded ejector, so you're going to be prying at that or getting somebody with smaller hands to take that out for you if you're going to be cycling your SD card in and out. It doesn't feel like it was well placed. So to sum up the cons, honestly, it just feels like a digital picture frame that's trying too hard. And that's not to say I don't like it. It feels like it's doing too much and it shouldn't be. But despite my criticism, this is a good digital picture frame for those that might want their digital picture frame to do more than just display pictures and video, and could be a welcomed addition for those that are looking for a digital photo frame with local storage, which is why I can recommend it if you can look past the myriad of cons that I came up with. It's not a bad picture frame. The display is nice. I like the local storage. It's just, there's a lot to jump through before you can really start just enjoying it as a digital picture frame. If this sounds like the digital picture frame you've been looking for, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Not sure if this is the right gift idea for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.